The number 30, such a propitious number, represented by the letter Lamed. Lamed is the only letter that goes above the line, goes to the heavens. This has a parallel in the letter Kuf, which is the only letter, besides the finals, that goes below the line. So there must be a parallel between the letter Lamed that goes above and the letter Kuf that goes below. The strange things about these two letters is that Lamed is 30 and Kuf is 100. Is that if you spell them out, Lamed is as Lamed Mem Dalet, that's 74, and Kuf as Kuf Vav Pei, that's final pay, that's 186. 186 and 74 comes out to be 260, which just so happens to be double Lamed and Kuf, which is 130. So in a certain sense, these two letters, even though they're not written that way, the two letters give almost like a kedusha and a din. The full spellings of these letters, even though they're not represented exactly, the full spellings represent, well, the din represents the kedusha. So that's an amazing thing, because these are the two letters that go above the line and below the line. Now, the way you write the letter Kuf is with a resh and then a zayin below, which comes out to be 207. We don't usually write the lamed like that, and this is my new thing here, my little hiddush. I'm going to write the lamed is usually written with a kaf, a kaf, and a vav above it, which comes out to be 26. 26 is a yud ke vav ke. But I'm going to spell it this way. I'm going to spell it with a resh on the bottom and a zayin to go above. So it's a zayin and a resh, which would be the same as the letter kuf. And so the zayin is bringing me up. That again comes out to be 207, and that's the whole idea of the word raz, secret. And 207 is the number of Ein Sof. So in both of these, they can represent Ein Sof. This 30 is what I'm talking about, because the number 30 is a representative for me, of the highest levels of Radlo. The month of Adar, 1, to me comes from Radlo. You see? And it comes in and it intercalculates, it interpenetrates. The reason that it comes from, there are 3 aspects in Radlo. Those are the 3 heads of Atik Yomin, the first 3 heads, Keta, Chokma, and Bina of Atik Yomin, that are uncovered, that are not covered by the lower aspects, the 7 lower, the 7, by the way, which would correspond to the zayin, the 7 lower aspects of Atik Yomin are covered by the 10 sephirots of Arik Ampin. In a certain sense, those 10 sephirots of Arik Ampin multiplied by 10 each is 100, and they correspond to the letter Kuf. And that letter Kuf, in a certain sense, with that Zion of the 7 aspects of Arik Anpin, of Atik Yomin that are now covered by that 10 aspects of Arik Anpin. But the 3 that are above is the great secret of the number 3. Each of those 3 has 10, and that's how we get 30. So the magic number 30 comes from the 3 uncovered heads of Radlo. Radlo I rearrange and I say Ada Lamed, if you get those letters. And so it's Ada, and then the Lamed is the 30, and that's like a little mixing around of Radlo. So in these 3 of Radlo, that's really 10 in each, it's 30 up there. And this Radlo, this aspect of 30, is one of the breaking off points. There's a lot of things in Judaism, like the priests at 30, and life begins at 30, and, in everybody's life, when you turn 30. And the whole idea of the 30 days of the Zelem leaving before your death, and the 30 days of the Sholoshim period after death of things. And the whole idea of the concept of 30 being 1 month. And the woman's cycle of 30, as the month. And these are the great secrets. But for me, mainly it has to do with the concept of the number 3 in its fullness is 30. And the whole idea of the number 30 in the future, we spell the highest name of God, Yud, He, Vav, He. But in the Olam Haba, it will be spelled Yud, He, Yud, He. There'll be a direct mirror image of the above and the below. The Yud, He of the above will be mirrored down here by a Yud, He in the below. That Yud, He is 30. Those are the 30 days of the Nazir's oath. And it's always been strange to me why the Nazir has to keep repeating that oath every 30 days. And this is the reason why. One of the things is, even in normative Judaism, the only time they use a gematria is in this when about the Nazareth thing, when it says yea, it's the 30. So normative halakha uses this from the Talmud and things. 30. And this is a great secret. So the whole number 30, which comes out of the number 3, which actually, in my opinion, comes out of the Aleph itself. because there's a yud on top, a yud on the bottom, and a vav in the middle. So this two-ness of the upper and the lower is connected by a vav in the middle. So even in the one, there's a threeness, which is expressed in other religions. In Islam, they express that in the Aleph, that there's three in one, the Alif. Christianity, three in one. And so this whole idea there is that the one is expressed in three. This comes down as Shabbat having 3 meals. And of the 3 aspects of the bris. Or even that we do 3 prayers, morning, afternoon, and evening. And the afternoon is kind of like not mandatory in a way. That's that vav in the middle of the connection. So it's a real deep sense. But I'm repeating myself a lot here, I think, from a previous lecture, video, and it's worth it. Because in a certain sense, it's Groundhog's Day. Every day is the same. You just have a slight difference because your soul came in differently. But it's a repetition of the same. And that's one of my concepts of the word yom. But we'll talk about this another time. Actually, I didn't think of this, but yom can have a 60 aspect to it. Yom is 56 plus 3 letters, 59 plus 1 is all is 60. And that would be a double 30. And I have some other things about the yom. But in the meantime, the lamed is the only letter that goes up. And my Hiddush here is to spell it with a Zion that rises off of its Resh as a base. And that would be 600, would be 207, and that's Ein Sof. And that's the 30. As so expressed in these 30 days of Adar 1 that come in from the mysticism of the highest realms of Radlo, where each of those 3 sephirots in Radlo are complete and have 10 sephirots each to make 30. So that whenever we have a number 30, it comes from Radlo. Let me repeat that. Whenever we have a number 30, it comes from Radlo.